We begin with breaking news. South Korea's parliament has introduced a motion to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol over his botched attempt to impose martial law. The ruling People Power Party vowed to oppose the move. Yoon's short-lived declaration of martial law late on Tuesday triggered one of the country's worst political crises in nearly 4 decades. For the very latest, we'll go live to Jack Barton. So good to see you there, Jack. So brings us up to speed on the latest developments there in the country.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, the latest development, the big development, is that motion to impeach President Yoon. A vote on that is likely to happen on Friday. So not today. It's normally within 24 hours and is up to 72 hours to vote on that motion. And of course, also rebellion within his own party, with the People Power Party holding a big emergency meeting overnight, looking at various measures. One of them is the dismissal of most of the chief aides President Yoon, and there seemed to be some agreement within the party that that should happen. They also called for the defense minister to resign or be sacked, something that has happened. And the last issue was whether President Yoon should leave the party. And it seems the decision has finally been made after some wrangling that he should leave the party, but he shouldn't leave the presidency. And on top of that, we've had, of course, candlelight vigils across the country, in the capital down in Gwangju. Overnight, you know, a few thousand people, but still fairly small, not as large as we would expect on the weekend if the opposition, the ruling party blocks that motion to impeach President Yoon in the National Assembly.
So, Jack, the ruling party says it will oppose the motion to impeach. So tell us what happens next.
Yeah, well, there's 300 members in the country's National Assembly. The opposition Democratic Party has a large majority. They have 190 members in there, and they can expect 2 independents to vote with them. But it would take 8 members of the People Power Party, the ruling party, to join ranks with them to get that impeachment through. So the party leader has told them to close ranks. He's ordered them not to go along with the impeachment, even though he says that President Yoon should be held accountable for what happened. And, you know, the party is officially saying that the martial law was unconstitutional. So we're going to have to wait and see on Friday whether some of the ruling party lawmakers break ranks and cross the floor. And if they do, it would lead to the impeachment of the president. If they don't, we can expect big mass rallies over the weekend. That is something and public shock still about the fact that martial law was introduced, even if it was just for 5.5 hours. And especially now that we know it was really just over this gridlock in the National Assembly, an inability to pass the budget, issues with the president's wife accepting a handbag as a gift, and repeated attempts to try and prosecute her over that. Things that we would consider minor affairs, and certainly not serious enough to cause martial law. So the fact that this has happened has really unified a lot of South Koreans, even many who previously supported Yoon.
And there was another move. President Yoon has named a new defense minister after accepting the resignation of Kim Yong Hyun. So what more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, in a way, this is a little bit of passing the buck. You could say Kim Yong Hyun was said, according to the president's office, it was his idea to launch this martial law. And, he sort of put the word in the president's ear. Now, we don't know if that's true or whether he's just being scapegoated for this, but certainly he has taken a lot of heat on this ever since the martial law was announced. There was calls for him to be sacked. He has voluntarily stepped down, and he's going to be replaced by a retired 4-star general. Well, that's who Yoon is nominating. That nomination will still have to pass, and that is Choi Byung-hyuk, and he's currently the ambassador to Saudi Arabia. So this is really the first head that has fallen as a consequence of martial law being introduced. But the expectation is other heads will fall, and of course many people across the country want President Yoon to be one of those officials who is no longer holding their position.
Definitely a lot will be unfold in the country. We'll be closely monitoring the situation there. Thank you so much, Jack, for your updates from Seoul.